We're going to be talking about what we as a service do and provide, how we were founded and where we would like to see ourselves in the future, but also how we work within already existing support programs for people with autism in employment. So this is the title of the talk, Closing the Employment Gap for Autistic Adults. So firstly, the employment gap. So according to the Office for National Statistics data from 2022, the current employment gap for disabled people in the UK is 27%. In recent years, this number has not changed much despite programmes being in place, and does hover around the 30% mark. However, with autism, people with autism actually have a lesser chance of staying in employment. So there's less than 3 in 10 people with autism that are employed. So this has traditionally stayed higher as well, and has been highlighted as an area of concern by the government and by the DWP. Many people face barriers to employment, difficulty finding jobs in the first place, and if they do find a job, difficulty remaining in employment. Many times this is due to a lack of understanding from the employers about autism and the problems that people can experience in the traditional working environment and the working practices, so whether that's days, sort of like working days, how long they are, the ability to work from home, stuff like that. Like I said, there are programmes that can be accessed. One of the main ones we do access is the Access to Work programme, which is from the DWP. But they are not advertised, they don't advertise that these things are out there. The small number of people with autism in employment, like I said, has been seen as an issue because people would like to get more people into work. Obviously, that's what government wants. So earlier this year in April, the Minister for Department of Work and Pensions actually has commissioned a review, and this is going to be asking employers why do they not want to employ autistic people, and looking at areas where improvement can be made, whether that's training, changes to working environments, but also liaising with specialist services as well to get a complete understanding of why there's such a low number of autistic adults in employment. So like I said, that was commissioned this year in April. It started in May, and it's the Buckland Review, and they should be reporting, it says September 2023, but sometimes these things can take longer, as we know, but it is an area of concern that has been highlighted. So like I said, the purpose of this review is to focus on supporting employers to recruit and maintain the employment of autistic people and reap the benefits of a neurodiverse workforce, because there are many benefits. We just need to teach these employers that these benefits exist. Recommendations for change are to be brought to government, like I said, later in the year. And the government wants to close this employment gap. The review will ask businesses, employment organisations, specialist support groups and autistic people to help identify the barriers they find when going into and retaining work, and also progressing with their careers as well. It's not about just staying in the same role, it's about how do we let people progress in the jobs they want to do. So, looking at the employment gap, this was why TASS was started, the Autism Support Service. Okay, so autism employment barriers, like I said, so employers lack the understanding of a neurodiverse workforce. The computer is playing me. There's a lack of inclusive places to work in the first place. But also one of the main problems is actually the recruitment process. So job descriptions can be very confusing. Application forms can be very difficult to understand about what you want to put on there, but also the interview process can be very intimidating. It's intimidating for someone who hasn't got communication issues and needs that communication help. So if you do, it can be a very intimidating and daunting process. So businesses at the moment, there's a lack of clear communication throughout someone's job. Like I said, the people aren't able to communicate that they need reasonable adjustments, that they're having issues with certain areas. Like I said, lack of reasonable adjustments anyway in the workplace. So no sensory adjustments, and just to make the job more accessible. So here we go. So like I said, I work for the Autism Support Service. We were founded in February 2019, and initially we were founded to provide support workers and job coaches to what was the Autism Directory, which is now Autistic Minds. We also, so now as Autistic Minds, we provide support for Ambition Prints, we provide support for the directory, we provide support for Safe Shed Wales, and we provide support for the Caerphilly Hub as well. So that's the charity shop, and they also have social groups there as well. So we provide all the support workers and job coaches for within Autistic Minds. But we also do external support. So at the moment we're currently supporting in Cardiff University for someone who works in the admin office, and also a cybersecurity company within Cardiff as well. So what do we as TASS do? As a team, we share knowledge and experience to deliver the best quality service that we can for our customers. We provide personally tailored support plans for the individual and their needs, and the support they require to remain and flourish in work. We produce and share relevant resources as well. So we'll pick a topic and we'll look at resources around wellbeing. We will put them together so that we are able to share these amongst the staff of Autistic Minds. And hopefully by doing this, we do manage to create confident and professional employees. We want them to be able, if there's a team leader role, we want them to be able to go and say, yes, I can do the interview for the team leader role. That is essentially what we want to do. So we support the individuals within the workplace. One of the key ones, I think, is to communicate efficiently and effectively with their manager. That can sometimes be a great barrier for people with autism in the workplace. We facilitate that communication. We help them manage their workload, and we also help them manage their environment. We also help them, as an example, to communicate the need for annual leave, because again, that can be something that people will struggle to ask their manager for. We also support individuals to break down and understand the policies and procedures. Sometimes a policy will be 50 pages long. That is too much and overwhelming. We help them break it down so that they can understand all policies and procedures within their workplace. We help them to develop coping strategies as well. When they're feeling overwhelmed, when they need that break, we give them the coping strategies they need so that they can remain in employment. We can also help them to request and implement any reasonable adjustments that they require. That's not just at the beginning of their employment. This is an ongoing process, and we can help them to request those reasonable adjustments at any point during their employment. So what does a day look in TASS? So I'm focusing mainly on our internal support at the moment, but we check in with supported staff at the start of a shift, in person or virtually, because we are still supporting people working from home as well. So initially it'd be, have you had a good night? Have you slept okay? So we can have we can have an understanding of what support they might need that day. We give reminders of meetings and deadlines so that it doesn't just jump up on people. We take notes during meetings as well. Sometimes a meeting with more people in the room, it can be an overwhelming experience. We provide that note-taking ability so that then we can share them with the supported staff after the meeting, and they can digest what has been said and what action points they need to do as well. We also help them prioritise tasks, so that obviously some things are going to be more important than others. We help them with that prioritisation so that we can get work done, but we're not overwhelming them with too much at once. We also give prompts for breaks, lunches and meetings, but breaks and lunch, if people become hyper-focused, they do need that prompting. It's time to have lunch, it's time to have a screen break. We don't want people sitting in front of their computer for the whole 8-hour shift. It's important to have those breaks, and we are there to remind them and prompt them to do this. We give help, guidance and advice within the workplace, and we do this by providing all of our supported staff will have access to at least one-to-one meeting every week where they can talk about any issues. This is with a support worker, it's not with their manager. We can ask them, they can ask us about any issues that are coming up that they feel they need help with, and then we're looking at maybe they need more reasonable adjustments, changes to their working day and so on. We can also signpost to other services. If there's something that doesn't fall into the work remit, we are able to signpost. The example I've got here is platform, but we also have had training recently on PIP, so we can signpost people to these services that will have the relevant knowledge that they need. And the less worries about outside of work, the smoother the working day can go, so we can maintain that happy environment in work. We also advocate for their well-being and needs, and this comes again like the communication with the manager. If they are needing time off, if they are needing time off for an appointment, we can advocate for them so that it makes it easier for them to ask for these things. So another area where we work with is access to work. So the Access to Work is a government scheme. It was set up in 1994, and it provides funding for the following areas. So they can provide funding for communication and interviews, special aids and equipment, adaptations to premises and vehicles, help with travel costs. What we're there for is a support worker or job coach, and also they do offer a mental health service. So the eligibility for access to work, you have to be over 18. You either have to be in or about to begin full-time employment, part-time employment, and some training courses are also covered, but that's on a ad hoc basis. Have to be working in the UK, and your job has to be based in the UK as well. There are many I covered everything. So it has to be over 18, in employment, whether full-time, part-time or self-employed, and you will be eligible for access to work. Access to Work can fund up to £62,000 worth a year of costs. So it can be a combination of all these: support worker, job coach, travel costs, and it will fund up to £62,000 a year. It does change every year, so that's currently what it's at. So how to apply for Access to Work? There are lots of online resources. We as the Autism Support Service do have our own referral form so that we can help with the process of applying for Access to Work, or you can do a self-referral. Like I said, there's so many online resources. Lots of charities as well have their own how-to guide for Access to Work. So there's so much. The DWP has their own guide, but it's about 80 pages. It's very long and it's very long-winded. You can apply online, but you can also apply on the phone as well. We provide help with the support worker record of tasks. So what's that? That's us telling Access to Work how many hours, how much support someone needs within a working week. So we will break it down, the issue, the support that someone requires, whether it be communication. We will break that down and write and explain how much support that person needs, whether it be 8 hours, 10 hours, and we'll break down all the tasks. So as TASS, I think I remember some of you have seen me up on the Access to Work stand this morning. So we provide advice and guidance about the Access to Work. So currently, I apply for all the Access to Work for the guys working for Autistic Minds. So that's everybody in AP, everybody in Safe Shred Wales. All of them, I do their Access to Work applications with their input. That's very important. I always do it with their input. It's a two-way conversation for me to get the best support for them. We can also give advice regarding eligibility. Like I said, the DWP information guide is about 80 pages. It's a very long read. There's a lot of eligibility, but the main ones I have already covered. Like I said, we can provide support for the application process. So that's what are they going to ask you, so that you're not surprised, so you can get the information needed. One point I do want to make is with Access to Work, you do not need an official diagnosis to be able to apply for Access to Work. You do not need it, because there's such a long waiting list for diagnosis at the moment. You do not need an official diagnosis to be able to apply for Access to Work. So we also provide support and advice for other aspects of Access to Work, because obviously it's a reward, so it does have a time frame. Usually it's a year, so then we can provide help with the renewals and also the change of circumstances as well. If there's any change to the job role, any change to working hours, any change to support needed, we can help them provide that change of circumstances. So that's what we do for Access to Work. That is the main area of my work. But as the Autism Support Service, we do also provide extra resources and materials for the guys that we support. So wellbeing materials depending on supported staff's needs. So we've put together guides about how to manage anxiety, looking at both at home or in work. We've put together mindfulness guides as well, which we are able to share with our supported staff. Like I said before, we're able to signpost to other support services, and we as TASS are having more training in these areas as well, so that we are able to signpost them to people and to organisations that will be able to help them. We also provide tried and tested app reviews. Now at the moment we're looking at the wellbeing apps. So we are trying them, we're testing them, and then we're able to review them for our supported staff, so they can see if it's something that they'd like to try themselves, and it might help them. We also give support sessions for extracurriculars. So in our Caerphilly hub, we provide craft groups, art groups, D&D groups, where people are able to come, and it's a social thing as well, and they're able to have a couple of hours in the Caerphilly hub. There are support staff there, but they're able to have that social group. And at the moment, it's quite a new thing for us, is we're working with I can never say this word. We are working with a holistic therapist to be able to offer more variety of wellbeing. So she's done Indian head massages, she does Reiki, things like that. So it's another, again, we're able to offer these things, and we provide the information, whether they want to hear it from us or whether they want to read it. So we put together PowerPoint presentations so they are able to know what's involved in that treatment and whether it's something they would enjoy. And we've had really good feedback from the holistic therapy sessions, from both us as the supporting staff, because we were allowed to try it as well, but also our supported staff. They've really, some of them have really enjoyed some of the sessions they've had. So we had a bit of a sit down with all the support workers, and we were like, where do you see TASS going? So where do we see ourselves in the future? And these are the ideas we had. So we want to be the go-to in-work employment support service. That is our aim. We believe in what we're doing, and we want more people to know about it. We want to advertise these programs that are available for anybody. We want to do more external support as well. The experience that we have supporting externally is amazing, and again that will make us the go-to in-work support service as well. We want to be able in the future to concentrate more on that workplace advocacy. It might not necessarily be that someone needs a support worker or a job coach, but they need help with asking for the correct, reasonable adjustments. That's what we want to be able to do. We want to advocate for people with their manager, with their employers, and so they get the support in work that they need. Another thing we'd love to provide in the future is work experience opportunities, because at the moment we just provide support for in employment, but if we were able to find people these work experiences, that would be amazing. I know it's something that the team is really passionate about as well. And then also looking at children and parent services, so being able to work with children but also parents and help them understand how they can adjust things at home. So that's another thing that I know the team is really passionate about. And then wellbeing workshops. I think all through the slides, wellbeing, that's one thing we are really, we want everybody to have a sense of wellbeing, and we are really aware that your wellbeing can affect your home life and your work life. So again, that's something that we really want to work on. So that's the end of my talk about the Autism Support Service. My phone number is on there if anybody wants to take it down, but we are also on floor 4, and we've got leaflets and contact information, so if you want to get in contact, please do, because we really want to help.
Is there a time limit on your support? So do you have like so much time with an individual and then you sort of leave them?
So it really depends. We've got some people that we're supporting are one-to-one support for their entire shift. So that in that case they have one support worker and they will work with them the entire day. We've got other people who may have, say, 4 hours a day. But we try to break it up. If they do have only 4 hours a day and they're working an 8-hour shift, we try to break it up so they've got some time in the morning, in the middle of the day and at the end.
So what about long term? So your objective is to support these people to be able to do it independently, or maybe find somebody in work that's a buddy or something?
Not necessarily independently, no, because that's not always going to be possible for everybody.
Right.
I think what our aim is to possibly take the support if that's possible, because it gives them then again a better sense of well-being, because you can see the progress, and the progress we see is amazing. But yeah, like, it's a long-term thing for some people.
You haven't got like, I can only work with you for a year and where else?
No, it's so like I said, it's split into 2. So you've got the job coach. So that's usually for someone who's about to start work. It's a new role. So what they'll give them is a job coach for 6 months. So say for the first 10 weeks you'll have 10 hours a week support. For the next 10 weeks then you'll have 8 hours, and it'll taper off like that, which is all some people need. However, some will then have the support worker, and that's seen as a more ongoing, and that's when we've got to go into doing the support worker recommended tasks, because we're really breaking it down and telling Access to Work that this is the support they need, this is the hours they need. Most renewals most applications come in through at about a year now, so you'll have a year's worth of support, but then we are able to renew 12 weeks from support finishing, and then if we feel that you need less, we will rewrite your support worker recommended tasks to reflect that, or we may feel you need more or the same. So, you know, it's an ongoing...
so you can renew the Access to Work.
The Access to Work is it's an ongoing thing, yeah. And any changes, if we feel, say you've been given a year worth of access to it, but we feel you need more, we can do a change of circumstance and we can get you that extra support. So yeah, it's an ongoing thing, it's very fluid, and that's what we're there for, really, to, you know, judge whether they do need more.
Okay, thank you.
Hi.
Hi, is the service available throughout Wales?
Yes, it's available in all over the UK, so that's England, Scotland and Wales. Northern Ireland do have service, but it's not called Access to Work, but yeah, throughout Wales.
Does work include apprenticeships?
Some apprenticeships, yes. It's so apprenticeships and internships are very finicky with which ones do fall into being eligible for Access to Work and which ones don't. So if you did ever have a question, like I said, our contact information is up on the stand, and you can email one of us and we can actually find out for you whether it's eligible or not.
Thank you.
Yeah.